biggest one is that Edmonton has seen the highest number of housing built in 2024 and built them faster than any other major urban center in Canada, including surpassing our affordable housing targets. It really speaks to how we are keeping Edmonton an affordable place to live for everyone. So I think that's one. The second one is the opening of 82nd Avenue and 50th Street rail crossing. That has been a long-standing irritant for people where how much traffic gridlock happens. The close to 35,000 vehicles travel on 50th Street every day. And now that we have the overpass built, people no longer have to be stuck and stopped by the train. It's a project that I have been working on for almost a decade as a council member, then as a federal minister, now in my role as mayor. So I'm very happy to see the first phase completed. That's one. The second one, right? Also, a number of issues around equity, diversity at a local level. We opened up a number of parks dedicated to cultural communities, one for Filipino community, one for the Chilean community, and many other things that I've been very proud to be part of. Over the last year, first of all, over the last number of years, we have made significant investments in public safety and well-being. We increased police funding. We put more transit peace officers. We have hired social workers, and we have invested in hiring crisis diversion teams to connect vulnerable population to services that are available in the city, as well as investing more in housing. And we are seeing the results. We have seen overall crime in Edmonton reduced by 13% from last year to this year. We have seen 21% reduction of violent incidents on transit properties, including the LRT. And we're seeing more people housed, despite the fact that more and more people are falling into houselessness. If we hadn't made those investments, there will more people be falling into houselessness. And thousands of people are being connected to services and programs that are available. So we are seeing the trend moving in the right direction, but we have a long way to go. When people experience violence, it is very personal, it is very traumatic. For them, that event, that incident shapes their view about safety, right? So you can throw all the stat you want at them, but their personal experience is different. And that's why we want to continue to work on improving the safety for everyone. 2024 has been very busy, and we are still concluding our work. I have few more days of interviews, meetings that I need to conclude. And during this break, my family and I will have a discussion and contemplate what my future is going to be. And we will make that decision sometime first quarter of 2025. Also, that the province has changed regulations around elections. They have introduced political parties, and not only introduced political parties, but also created a huge advantage for candidates who want to run under a political banner, and disadvantage for those who want to run independent, right? So that's another thing that I have to consider as part of the deliberation, but we'll make that decision early next year. The beauty of local government is that it's so nonpartisan. Your buses running on time, your police officers and your fire department showing up on time, people having clean, safe ways of moving around in our city, building infrastructure, libraries, rec centers. These are not partisan issues. Everyone uses these city municipal services, and they must remain non-partisan. But unfortunately, with the introduction of political parties, my worry is that a level of partisanship is going to show up in these decisions. I don't know how to avoid that, right? Because the province creating such a huge advantage for people to join a political party is something that is concerning. But that's something that I would have to reflect on. Last few years have been very difficult for Edmontonians, coming out of COVID, high inflation, housing costs, grocery costs. The overall cost of living has impacted so many people. not unique to Edmonton alone. Every municipality and every person in Canada and the US and others are facing that. But leading through these difficult times and still continue to sustain public services and invest in public services, at that same time trying to balance affordability of taxes is something that I have been focused on. And we had to make some very difficult, hard decisions that led to property taxes going higher than you would actually normally think they would be, and also what we budgeted for. But I had to deal with some of the legacy issues around property taxes being frozen or not keeping pace with inflation. That has led to $88 million deficit, structural deficit that I had to deal with, our council had to deal with. We also inherited underfunded public services. We had to invest more money into public transit, into fire, into policing, into recreational facilities. And we also saw that our labor cost and negotiation with the unions were not properly funded. So we had to deal all those issues. We made a decision not to cut services, not to cut corners on labor, and that has led to higher than projected anticipated property tax increases. And people have not been happy about that. I acknowledge that, but cutting services would have hurt more people, right? Because a lot of people, Edmontonians, rely on affordable, accessible public services. So we need to create that balance. Oh, absolutely. Having more people live downtown is the key. We have funded close to 11 projects in the downtown through the Downtown Construction Incentive Program, and that will help create close to 2,300 housing units in the core of the city. That means close to 5,000 more people living in downtown. But I hear you on the student housing. I made a motion at council that will ask our administration, that have asked our administration to work with post-secondary institutions to see what we can do to work together to create more housing options for young people. Because housing affordability for young people is hitting hard. Rents are going up. We want to make sure that our city remains affordable and that we are investing more in affordable housing. And so I look forward to the outcome of that report and see what more we can do. We have land available in the downtown that we can probably allocate for more student housing or affordable housing. We have land in the quarters close to the LRT that is available that people can hopefully create opportunity for student housing. And that's something I am really invested in and want to explore more. Oh, absolutely. I actually had conversations with Northwest and McCune University around potential, and the University of Alberta, because they do have a presence in the downtown, creating districts. For example, we have Arts District right here, right? Then we have Ice District. Then, why would you not create an education district around McCune and Northwest? So that work is underway. Administration is working with those institutions, and that probably creates some opportunities around affordable housing as well, right? So I think there's a lot of potential, and I'm absolutely committed to exploring that. So going into this budget, we were looking at 13% property tax increase, and that was acceptable for me and council. So we really clearly told the administration they need to go back and they reduce that, and they did, and they brought back a proposal for 8.1% tax levy. And that was very unacceptable for me as well. So I worked hard with the administration and our city council to bring it down to 6.1%. And I'm confident that province will step up, pay their taxes to the city, and once they do that, we can further reduce the tax levy from 6.1% to 5.3%. But interesting thing is that if province pays us retroactive what is owed to the city of Edmonton, we can eliminate our deficit in our rainy day fund and direct that money towards building or rehabilitating our existing infrastructure. So I'm hopeful that they will step up because we need their support. I don't know how we will continue to sustain that without province. They access municipal services and they need to pay the cost of accessing those municipal services for provincial buildings. So over the last 3 years, we have been looking at cost reductions, and we have actually eliminated close to $220 million, either through directly reducing the tax base or absorbing within the existing budget. And I have been calling for better way of budgeting, and I look forward to that line-by-line analysis that we need to undertake in order to demonstrate to Edmontonians that we're getting the value for the money. The houselessness crisis that we're facing is not unique to Edmonton. Every major urban center in Canada, in the United States, in Europe is facing the similar challenges. And many communities are doing different things. So one core message that I hear wherever I engage is housing is the key to ending houselessness. Without affordable, supportive housing with wrapped around services, for people to stabilize their lives and get better and seek help, you cannot end houselessness. So that is very, very clear. That is why we have been focused on building more homes and also keeping our services affordable and accessible. So I think that is where we'll continue to focus on, and that's where my advocacy has been to the province and the federal government as well, that they need to invest more. So that is the key message, that in order to end houselessness, we need to build more homes that are affordable and accessible and appropriate to meet the needs of people that are struggling with houselessness. I think when it comes to substance use disorder and addiction issues, decision we need to make needs to be backed by evidence. And it has to be proven what works. We know that we need every type of intervention. We need detox facilities, we need treatment facilities, we need recovery facilities, but we also need intervention that saves people's lives. And that's where harm reduction comes in. That's where interventions like that come in, that we actually save people alive and help them stabilize. If somebody is dead, they're not going to recover, right? So let's do everything that we can possibly and not reject anything as long as they're backed by evidence, and start investing and have that comprehensive plan in place for people to get better. First thing is very clear, and we all know that encampments are not desirable places for anyone to live. But people make those very difficult choices because they have no other choices, right? Because people don't have homes to live in. So that is the core of the problem. We have not built enough affordable, supportive homes for people to have a shelter, to stabilize and seek treatment and seek help. Because people who experience houselessness also experience many other issues around mental health and addictions. These are intersecting problems. So encampments are the symptoms of a bigger problem. We can continue to invest in symptoms, managing symptoms, but we need to look at the core causes and invest in those. We also know that there are segments of unhoused population that would not go to a shelter, and they get pushed around when their encampments are removed, and they get dispersed into other communities. One thing that I'm hopeful, and I've been waiting for the province and the federal government to announce, is their new money they have set aside for encampment responses. And if we get that money, our goal is to build more transitional interim housing options, that people from encampments can be taken into those interim transitional housing where they can stay before they're connected to more permanent supportive housing. And that has been lacking. We need about 200 temporary interim housing options, units that we can build, and we were hoping that province and federal government will have that agreement set up very quickly, but unfortunately it's been delayed. I know why. I've been bugging both ministers around why that is the case, and I hope they act quickly. We are here end of December, And we were actually supposed to have that agreement in place by October. And it hasn't happened yet. And people are dying on the streets. And that's unacceptable. We are seeing an increased amputation. We are seeing increased hospitalization. We are seeing increased number of people dying because they're unhoused. And we have this federal money, and the two governments cannot agree on the terms. And here we are 2 months later, we haven't seen a single dollar. That is disheartening. That is very disappointing. And I will continue to push hard to the province and to the feds. No, please step up. Do your job. Get this money back into the communities so we can actually have decent places for people to call home. You know, people's expectations of city governments have evolved and changed a lot, but our funding tools have not changed. There's only two ways we fund municipalities. One is property taxes, the other one is user fees. And both don't grow as the economy grows. When somebody got a good, well-paying job, their wages go up and their taxes also go up to the province and the federal government. That is not the case in the municipal setting. We have to raise taxes every year to pay for additional costs. So the system needs to change in order for us to be effective, in order to deliver on those expectations. But I don't know when that system will change. It is up to the province and the federal government to do so. Without that, we will not be able to continue to provide the kind of services that people expect us to do so. You know, I've been focused on keeping our services available, accessible, and affordable, at the same time minimizing property tax increases. For example, as a student, you rely on public transit. So UPass is one way of increasing that affordability for students. If you were to pay the full cost of transit, it might be cost prohibitive, right? So by the introduction of UPass, we are making life more affordable for students. Another program is Leisure Access Program. Any Edmontonian or family who are struggling with poverty, they have free access to recreational facilities anywhere in the city. That makes people's life affordable. We have youth drop-in programs, for example, after-school programs that young people can participate by paying half of the price of a regular program. Libraries are free for anyone to use. Our open spaces, public parks that we maintain are free for people to use. So that's how we are impacting affordability. But that also means that the property taxes are paying for those, right? So there's always a balance in a way that you're trying to minimize property tax increases, at the same time trying to maintain community affordability or affordability for those segments of the population that cannot afford to pay the full cost of accessing those services, right? And that has always been a difficult balance, and that's what I have been trying to strive over the last 3 years.
I think that's actually everything I had, actually, so that's perfect timing.